Pranam everyone. In the process of learning about the National Curriculum Framework for Foundational Stage, today we will be covering section 1.2.4 Current State. Great potential yet unfulfilled. At the current time, there is a learning crisis in India where children are enrolled in primary school but are failing to attain basic skills such as foundational literacy and numeracy. A major source of this crisis appears to be occurring well before children even enter grade 1. Far too many 6+ year olds are entering grade 1 with very limited experience of ECCE. Furthermore, far too many children are enrolling in grade 1 before the age of 6 due to a lack of any suitable preschool options. These are often the children that remain the most behind in the early years, school, and beyond. The deficiencies in what our children are experiencing is particularly marked between advantaged and disadvantaged groups. This is because children from more advantaged families have greater access to role models, print materials, and awareness, language fluency in the school language, and strong learning environment at home. In addition to better nutrition, healthcare, and of course, access to preschool education, providing universal quality ECCE has the potential to give all young children such access along with all other benefits that arise from high quality ECCE. Diverse institutional settings. At the current time, most early childhood education is delivered in the form of Anganwadis and private preschools, with a very small proportion coming from preschools run by NGOs and other organizations. Where well supported, the Anganwadi system of preschool education under the aegis of the ICDS has worked with great success in many parts of India, especially with respect to healthcare for mothers and infants. Anganwadis have truly helped to support parents and build communities. They have served to provide critical nutrition and health awareness, immunization, basic health checkups, and referrals and connections to local public health systems, thus setting up crores of children for healthy development and therefore far more productive lives. However, while providing some essential cognitive stimulation, play, and daycare, most Anganwadis have remained relatively light on the educational aspects of ECCE. Anganwadis are currently quite deficient in supplies and infrastructure for education. As a result, they tend to contain more children in the 2 to 4 year age range and fewer in the educationally critical 4 to 6 years age range. They also have had few teachers trained in or specially dedicated to early childhood education. Of the 11.7 lakh government and government aided schools, 9.3 lakh have primary sections and 1.9 lakh have pre-primary sections. 2.7 lakh schools have a co-located Anganwadi section. In case of co-located Anganwadis, the children of ages 4 to 6 years are considered as preschool children. Pre-primary sections generally comprise 2 years of education. Accurate data for ECCE institutions, play schools, preschools in the private sector is not available, though anecdotal and observational evidence suggests a proliferation of such institutions from the very well resourced to the poorly resourced. Private and other preschools have largely functioned as downward extensions of school. Though some provide better infrastructure and learning resources for children, most primary focus on formal teaching and rote memorization, with high pupil-teacher ratios and limited developmentally appropriate play-based and activity-based learning. Most of them have teachers untrained in early childhood education. They generally are very limited on health and nutrition aspects and do not usually cater to children below 4 years of age. A significant proportion of children in India who complete preschool education, public or private, do not have the needed school readiness competencies when they join school. Thus, in addition to problems of access, quality related deficiencies such as a developmentally inappropriate curriculum, The lack of qualified and trained teachers and less than optimal pedagogy have remained major challenges for many, if not most, existing early learning programs. Children at age 6 to 8 are in school. The challenges during this age, pedagogical, curricular, systemic, and more, remain among the key roots of India's educational challenges. All these matters are addressed frontally in NEP 2020. Unregulated private preschools. The national ECCE policy clearly states that to standardize the quality of ECCE available to children, basic quality standards and specifications will be laid down for ECCE, which will be enforced across public, private, and non governmental service providers. It recommends that a regulatory framework for ECCE across all service providers should be developed by the National ECCE Council to be implemented by 2016. However, the private preschool space still remains largely unregulated. A large number of these schools may not have the intent or the means to invest in quality ECCE. At best, they serve as safe places for children to be in for a few hours. Access and enrollment. Despite the remarkable reach of the ICDS scheme, it is one of the largest such as in the world, and availability of other preschools, many challenges remain, most notably low enrollment and attendance compared to primary school. This issue is also manifest in the phenomenon of 5-year-olds entering grade 1 in school. There has been a significant focus on access and enrollment in the past few 2 decades. While access and enrollment in primary school has increased dramatically, enrollment in ECCE programs still remains low. The overall coverage of the ICDS scheme has been good in terms of access with Anganwadis set up even in remote locations. In 2022, of the 13,99,661 sanctioned Anganwadis, 13,91,004 were reported to be operational. However, despite widespread availability, enrollment remains low. During 2020-21, of the 19 crore 3,44,199 students admitted in grade 1, only 50.9% had preschool experience. Of these, 24.7% had preschool experience in the same school, 7.9% in another school, and 18.3% in an Anganwadi or ECCE center respectively. Enrollment in primary school has been excellent with GER and NER of 103.3 and 92.7 respectively reported for 2020-21. In 2019-20, preschool attendance was reported as being 44% in urban and 39% in rural areas. Overall, 40% of children of ages 2 to 4 years were reported as attending preschool, with the lowest attendance among children belonging to socially and economically disadvantaged groups. Among children of age 6 to 10 years, 95% attend school. In 21 states in the country, children enter grade 1 at the age of 5 years. Now let's talk about human resources. While the staffing of the Anganwadis is not complete, it is at high levels. Data for private institutions is not available. The number of institutions offering relevant teacher education programs is low and inadequate. The number of sanctioned posts in Anganwadis is 13,99,696, of which only 5% are vacant. Of the number of sanctioned posts for Anganwadi helpers, 7% are vacant. The number of teacher education institutions offering programs preparing teachers for preschool is extremely low. Only 1% of teacher education institutions in the private space, which comprises 92% of teacher education institutions in the country, offer programs for preschool teachers. None of the northeastern states have teacher education programs for preschool. Let's come to nutrition now. Good nutrition is an integral part of ECCE. While over the years, India has made progress on key nutritional indicators of children, significant challenges remain. In India, 36% of children under age 5 years are stunted, that is, too short for their age. This is a sign of chronic undernutrition. 19% of children under age 5 years are wasted, that is, too thin for their height, which is a sign of acute undernutrition, while 32% of children under age 5 years are underweight. This has an impact on the holistic development of children both in the near and long term. The prevalence of stunting and being underweight has decreased since 2015-16. Stunting declined from 38% in 2015-16 to 36% in 2019-21. Over this same time period, the prevalence of wasting has declined from 21% in 2015-16 to 19% in 2019-21. However, there are wide variations across states and union territories, with some states having nearly 40% or more children showing stunting. Now, we'll learn something about the learning outcomes. The focus on and achievement of educational outcomes across the range of ECCE institutions has been inadequate. These deficits tend to accumulate through later school years. The focus on the education component in Anganwadis has been inadequate for many reasons. Example, time available, capacity of the teacher, activities for pre-reading, pre-writing, and pre-number concepts are generally very few. Many children are unable to demonstrate age-appropriate learning levels. This issue persists even as children move through primary school. NAS 2021 shows declining learning levels at grade 3 and the accumulation of learning deficit across grades. Average scores in primary grades dipped considerably across language and mathematics as compared to the upper primary and secondary grades. Now, what is the way forward? NEP 2020 squarely lays out the challenges of ECCE in India. Quality ECCE is not available to crores of young children, particularly children from socio-economically disadvantaged backgrounds, and makes a clear commitment to addressing these challenges with strong investment and thereby providing universal provisioning of quality early childhood development, care, and education as soon as possible and no later than 2030. Amongst the multi-pronged approach of NEP 2020 to transforming the ECCE landscape in the country, this NCF is one of the most important. While investments in infrastructure and other matters may take some time, curricular and pedagogical changes can happen in parallel and often faster. The objective of this NCF is to enable such a transformation in the practice of ECCE across institutions, even as other improvements happen alongside.